Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
We're diving into what has to be one of the most drastic strategic shifts we've seen in biotech for a while.
Oh, for sure.
We're looking at Centessa Pharmaceuticals, ticker CNTA.
And a pivot so profound, it immediately, just shook their valuation.
It really did. It stripped about $380 million from the company in a single day.
And this was so much more than just a simple management change. Centessa was founded, its whole philosophy was risk diversification across multiple assets.
And they just abandoned it completely.
Gone. So our mission today is really to analyze the implications of this full throttle commitment to their Orexin receptor 2 pipeline.
The OX2R agonist pipeline, and what this really radical concentrated bet means for the company's future.
Exactly.
So let's start with the main event. Centessa announced on December 11th, 2025 that effective January 1st, 2026, they're undergoing a major leadership transition.
Right, and a corporate reset. Mario Alberto Accardi is taking the top job.
He's the president and, crucially, the founder of their Orexin program.
So he's now CEO and on the board. He's succeeding Saurabh Saha, who's stepping down entirely from the CEO role in the board.
But staying on as an advisor, I saw.
For a transition period, yes. But look, this is a very, very targeted appointment.
Targeted is an understatement. The company explicitly framed this as their evolution from, an R&D startup with a super diversified pipeline.
To an organization focused entirely on a pure-play Orexin portfolio?
They are just consolidating everything. Their whole identity is now this one therapeutic class.
And what's so fascinating here is the market's immediate reaction to this surgical focus.
No, it's not good.
No. Despite getting, total clarity on their direction and putting the chief architect of their best asset in charge, the news was received negatively.
CNTA declined 8.08% on the day.
And that's the market questioning the loss of the safety net. It's not about the quality of the new strategy, it's about the risk.
And that negative reaction is just so deeply rooted in the history of Centessa. You really have to understand, this company was founded on the exact opposite principle just a few years ago.
It's a complete 180. To put this in perspective, Centessa was born in February 2021. They launched with a huge splash.
A $250 million Series A.
Huge. But the way they were built was so unique. They called it an asset-centric R&D model.
Right. They did it by merging 10 private biotech companies.
10 of them. They called them Centessa subsidiaries, all under one big umbrella.
It sounds like an operational nightmare.
And a strategic masterpiece, or so they thought. It was all designed to spread that R&D risk. You had companies in oncology, like LockBody, rare diseases.
Eladio Biosciences.
Inflammatory conditions, Absintex, and then, of course, Orexia Therapeutics.
Dr. Accardi's venture, the one that survived.
And Dr. Saha, the outgoing CEO, he was the guy they brought in to lead that colossal integration, to manage that multi-vector risk.
So the whole thesis was combine 10 pipelines, increase the odds of a breakthrough, centralize the costs.
It was supposed to be the ultimate diversification engine in biotech.
But wait, if diversification was the entire point, then isn't this pivot basically an admission that the original strategy failed?
That's a great question.
Why build that whole thing just to jettison 9/10 of it for one target?
It signals a critical pivot point.
Yeah.
A point where the promise of the Orexin program became so overwhelming that the board just decided the cost of diversification.
Resources, the management focus.
The development drag, all of it. It just outweighed the benefits of that safety net. Dr. Accardi represents the total abandonment of the conglomerate strategy. It's pure specialization now.
And he has the pedigree. Founder and CEO of Orexia, raised $40 million before Centessa acquired them. He knows this compound better than anyone.
The board made that crystal clear. The chair, Francesco de Robertis, he said they needed specialized leadership. They called Accardi the principal architect of the program.
So they went from trying to run 10 businesses to just saying,
we only have the resources to run the one business we're already winning at. It's an admission that focus beats sprawl when you have a real shot on goal.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. What exactly is Orexin? Why is this pathway so huge that it justifies shedding that $380 million cushion?
Orexin is it's essentially the brain's master switch for wakefulness.
The master switch.
It's a neuropeptide that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. It promotes arousal, vigilance, sustained attention. Think of your brain like a computer. The Orexin pathway is the main power supply.
So for people with severe sleep disorders like narcolepsy, that power supply is just faulty.
Precisely. The classic example is narcolepsy type 1, where the neurons that produce orexin are physically lost. It leads to this crippling excessive daytime sleepiness, or EDS.
And it also applies to narcolepsy type 2 and idiopathic hypersomnia.
Yes, both are characterized by dysfunctional orexin signaling. And IH, idiopathic hypersomnia, that's a really underserved population. The market potential just in those three areas is multi-billion-dollar territory.
Which is where ORX 750 comes in. This isn't just another sleep aid, it's an OX2R agonist.
And that distinction is absolutely crucial.
It's designed to activate the pathway, right?
Yep.
To directly fix the underlying problem.
Exactly. Most drugs out there are DORA's dual or orexin receptor antagonists. They block the signal to make you sleepy. ORX 750 does the complete opposite. It steps in to promote robust wakefulness.
Which is why they're calling it a potential best-in-class candidate.
And the timeline is incredibly fast, which, that just amplifies the volatility we've been talking about.
That's the timeline.
Okay, so mark this down. A registrational program for ORX 750, that's the final step before it can submit to the FDA, is expected to start in Q1 2026.
So investors are staring down a massive binary catalyst just a few months away.
A huge one.
But it's not just one molecule, right? They're focused on the entire orexin franchise.
Absolutely. The pipeline looks concentrated, but it's deep. They're also advancing two other novel OX2R agonists.
ORX 142 and ORX 489.
Right. You've got ORX 142, which is targeting broader neurological and neurodegenerative disorders. Think about the severe fatigue in Parkinson's, for example.
A huge potential application. And ORX 489 is for neuropsychiatric disorders.
That's the next frontier. The fatigue and cognitive fog and major depressive disorder. If they can target that, it opens up another enormous market. They have key milestones for both of those expected throughout 2026.
So, okay, we have extreme focus, the world's expertest CEO, and a critical Q1 2026 trial start. They also have the money to do it, right?
The financials suggest they are very well positioned, which makes that 8% drop even more confusing on the surface.
How much cash do they have?
They reported $349 million, which gives them a runway into mid-2027. And crucially, they just raised $250 million in gross proceeds in November 2025.
So they loaded the balance sheet right before making the pivot.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the divergence. Why did the stock fall? They have cash, focus, analyst backing. B. Riley raised their price target to $42. Guggenheim went to $43. What did the Phase 2A data show that got analysts so excited?
The Phase 2A data really validated that best-in-class idea. It showed significant improvements in daytime sleepiness, but also, critically, it had a rapid onset and maintained efficacy for 24 hours.
Without the usual side effects.
Without the typical safety and tolerability issues you see in older CNS drugs. So analysts looked at that profile, the size of the market, and concluded ORX 750 is potentially very undervalued.
So if the data is great and analysts love it, why the sell-off?
I think the volatility is really the price of concentration. The stock was already near its 52-week high.
Sure.
So the negative reaction is likely three things. First, profit-taking after that $250 million raise. Investors sell the news, even good news. Second, the loss of diversification. That safety net is gone, so the company's fundamentally riskier.
And the third?
It's the anticipation of the binary event itself. The higher the potential, those $40 plus targets, the more catastrophic a delay or a hiccup would be.
Holy magnet.
They're betting everything that ORX 750 is going to deliver a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream. They're saying, we don't need a diversified pipeline if we have the next blockbuster.
All right, this is not financial advice.
Of course not.
But let's talk about the opportunity this radical pivot sets up. Given the all-in nature, the concentration of risk around that Q1 2026 start, the market is screaming that high volatility is coming.
When a biotech enters late-stage trials, especially a pure play like this, the market starts pricing in huge moves, up or down.
So the outrageous but plausible thesis here is a highly leveraged binary bet on that Q1 2026 initiation. We're talking about initiating a short straddle position on CNTA.
Expiring in Q2 2026.
Okay, let's unpack that jargon for a minute. What is a short straddle?
So a regular straddle is buying a put and a call at the same price and date. It's a bet that the stock will move a lot, up or down.
And a short straddle is the opposite.
Exactly. You're selling that straddle. You're collecting the premium that others are willing to pay because they expect high volatility.
So you're betting that the move, when it happens, will be absolutely massive.
Right. The rationale hinges on that market hesitation we just talked about, that negative 8% reaction. If the program is delayed or if any initial data raises safety questions, that risk cushion is gone.
The stock would plummet.
It would get crushed. But on the other hand, if the launch is smooth and OREX 750 really is best in class, the stock could easily explode toward those $40 plus analyst targets.
So the short straddle profits from a sharp, decisive move in either direction once the market digests that event.
It's the ultimate volatility play, and it was engineered by Centessa itself when they made this shift. They created the perfect setup for it.
So what does this all mean?
Well, the key takeaway is the absolute solidification of Centessa as an orexin-focused company.
Led by the program's original architect, Dr. Accardi, the days of balancing 10 different programs are over.
That's the core conclusion. The entire corporate focus, the capital, the leadership, it's all centered on that Q1 2026 launch of the OREX 750 registrational program.
And here's the final provocative thought for you to consider. The historical failure rate of late-stage drug development, especially in CNS, it's high.
Very high.
Centessa just abandoned a model that was explicitly designed to reduce R&D risk for a single high-stakes neuroscience vertical. Does the potential size of the narcolepsy market truly justify shedding all that safety diversification?
It's a calculated all-or-nothing gamble on one pathway's success.
Yeah.
And it's going to determine the company's fate in the coming year. It's the ultimate trade-off. Security versus potential reward.
And Centessa has chosen maximum reward. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.